Welcome to FEMME FLEX Friday. I'm Lenda Murray along with Alina Popa, and today we have the first IFBB Professional League Wellness Champion, Renee Harshey. She just won the Tampa Pro.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Fantastic. Your performance was outstanding last weekend. We were there, me and Lenda, and we were critiquing the class because we had that wrap up that we do usually after prejudging, and it was very interesting to see you in the class, in the wellness class, fighting with the second place Cassia. Cassia was fantastic, and so were you. And we were critiquing the physiques. Like Cassia is a more petite frame, right, Lenda?
Yes.
What was your take on that?
Yeah, I think what was really exciting about it is we were really looking forward to seeing the wellness division. I think from, of course, we have, social media, and we get to look at all the athletes in Brazil. And we, as women bodybuilders, we've watched this sport evolve from women bodybuilders to fitness competitors, to women's physique, to figure, to bikini. And so when we heard about the wellness division and the opportunity to actually be at the Tampa Pro and see the first here in the US, that was really exciting. And so we were very much like pulling for you. We just, we recognize that, your awesome physique, and so you did a great job, and I think you're a great example of wellness.
Thank you so much. Yes, I was really excited to switch over to this division, and this show was so interesting because there were, athletes that used to be former women's physique and former figure. Cassia was a pro figure before.
Oh, she was figure before,
and I was coming from bikini, so it was really kind of interesting to see us all come together and see the difference in our physiques and how we were trying to achieve the wellness look based on what we've seen and what the NPC has put out as far as what they are expecting. So I was really excited to do it. I mean, we were all basically crossovers, and the Americans doing it together at the very first show. So that was really exciting.
So take us back a little bit through your history. When did you turn pro?
I turned pro at the Amateur Olympia in South America in 2019.
Oh, South America.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
So what brought you to South America, actually?
It was kind of on a whim. My coach wanted me to do that. It was about 6 weeks out, and he's like, I think you should do this show. And the reason why we chose that show is I had done, at that point, 9 national shows and another international show, hoping to get my pro card in bikini.
Okay.
But I am a little bit more dense in my lower half and my legs and glutes, and that was continuously my feedback at the national shows here in the States. So he said, I think that you might size up better with the girls down there, just as far as muscularity and density goes. So we kind of I'd never been to that show, he had never been to that show, and we said, let's do it.
It's all about strategy at that point, right?
Exactly. And it worked. If you looked at my class that day, we all had very similar structures in terms of muscularity, and just, we still had the bikini look, but some of us were a little bit more dense in the lower body, but it worked, and I ended up winning the overall at that show. So that was really exciting. Yeah, a lot of work going into it for years, and then finally it
Congratulations.
happened. So,
well, it sounds like your trainer put you right in the right show, right?
Yes, he was very strategic about it.
Absolutely, yeah. And then I know that you had, this was held in conjunction with the Cheru Classic, right? So then you made your pro debut basically the next day, right?
Right, so...
Wow, the next day.
So they had pro bikini at that show, because the Cheru Classic, they have multiple divisions, and because I won the overall, we were like, you better jump into the pro show the next day. And I actually had a flight home that day. I went to Colombia hoping I would win, but I didn't know for sure, and so it was kind of I had to change my flight and all of that. It ended up working out, but of course my goal there was to get my pro card. So I feel like I peaked, for that day, and then the next day was kind of just about the experience. It wasn't about where I placed. It wasn't about if I looked perfect. It was just getting on the stage with the other pros. So I ended up I was ninth at that day.
But that's pretty good for your first pro show. Excellent.
Not bad.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah. So, but for me, I considered the Tampa Pro my pro debut because it's what I prepped for 15 months.
Yes.
So that was my goal. That for me was my pro debut.
You're a professional, and so you get that opportunity to compete in that show. You show up. You had the courage, you followed through, you cancel the flight, you show up, place ninth, and just go through the experience.
Absolutely.
And now you're here, the first.
Yes, and it was actually 2 months after that when they announced at the Pittsburgh Pro that they were introducing wellness to the NPC and IFBB. So I was at that show coaching, and my coach and I were sitting in the audience, and he looked at me and he said, "You're switching divisions," and that's it. After that, it was we just were grinding and made 2020 our goal to get back on stage. And of course, there were shows pushed back because of COVID this year.
Yes.
But I really took advantage of the time that I had in order to switch to that division.
Yeah.
While I was in Tampa with Lenda, and we watched all the female divisions, because we're critiquing the divisions in the wrap-ups that we do. So I know that you're also a coach, right? And you're also a posing coach.
Yes.
So we were asking, because we don't really see a whole lot of difference between the wellness and the bikini posing. So if you can shed some light onto those topics for people that don't really get it, or if they would like to know about it.
Yeah, so the biggest difference, just aesthetically, when you're looking at bikini and wellness, is there's a lot more development in the legs and glutes and hips. So in wellness, you want to accentuate that, and you want to show that. For bikini, it's a little different. You want to kind of, tone that down a little bit. So a lot of the front poses you'll see for wellness, it's the ladies are trying to show their muscularity in their lower half, and there's not a standard. This is the front pose for wellness. It's kind of what works best for their physique.
Okay.
We're in figure. There's a standard for that. It's front, quarters, back. And that's the other thing in wellness. There's also quarter turns, so that's kind of where it's similar to figure. So girls will come out, show their front pose. The judge will say quarter turn to the right, and you kind of do what some people think looks like a similar bikini pose when you're the standard bikini pose on the side. But really, what you're trying to show, and in most divisions, is showing that hourglass shape, but from what I've studied it a lot, you're trying to also show the separation between your hamstring and your glute and your quads.
Wow.
You're trying to show the hang in your hamstring.
I see.
The curve of your glute. So there's a lot more than just turning to the side and kind of showing shape like you would in bikini. You're actually trying to show that muscularity still in your lower half.
I see.
And then when you turn to the back, that is very similar to bikini. Kind of pushing your glutes out, arching your back.
Right.
But the thing about wellness too is there's so many different shapes and different looks, where some girls have a little bit more density in their glutes. Some girls have more shelf up top. Some girls just have wider hips, so their back pose is going to look a little different.
Yes.
And then you turn to the other side, another quarter turn, so you're showing again the other side, and you're trying to show the shape and separation between your hamstring and your glutes.
Okay.
And all that.
Yeah, so that's interesting because you're talking about your hamstring. So you're saying that when you're, first of all, they're quarter turns versus not the case in bikini.
Right.
And that there's emphasis on the hamstring. It's like, so I know that's different. And it makes sense.
Pretty much you're actually posing your legs as opposed to bikini, where you're more relaxed and just present the shape, right?
Yeah, you want to accentuate, the legs. So
being a bikini competitor and knowing that you had more muscularity, you had more thickness as far as in your glutes, your hamstrings, and so it was always really challenging to try to really downsize and basically because you're asking yourself to lose muscle, and so that was really interesting, that challenge. And then you made the decision to go into, thank goodness that they came up with the wellness division, because this is what I heard, is that there were a lot of women in that position. where it was just too much on the body, and to really make that transition, risking, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Risking health to get there.
And what I was mentioning earlier is to really bring down muscularity like that in our lower half, because females, we're supposed to hold weight in our lower half.
Right.
Biologically, that's where we hold our weight. So you basically have to be in a catabolic state for a long period of time to really get that to come down. And that's really not ideal. That's not, showing balance. It's really hard, and to compete continuously when you're in that state is really hard on your body. So a lot of women were finding themselves in that position, like, man, I could maybe get there one day, but I'm gonna have to grind really hard to do it. So this has been a healthier approach for me, and I'm hoping for a lot of other females. I wanted to kind of show that, yes, I was bikini, and I have a little bit of a smaller structure, but you take time and patience and balance, and you can achieve it over time.
Yes.
So, it was definitely a transition as far as training and diet. When I was doing bikini, it was a lot more cardio. My food could never really get that high because I would grow,
Right.
I couldn't do any heavy lifting in my lower half, which I love doing. Then when I made the switch, it was, we got to pull back cardio, and now I get to squat and deadlift and do all the things that I like to do and my genetics like. So I got to grow into this division, and that was really awesome this year.
Yeah.
So would you see yourself ever switching to a higher muscularity class? Next figure?
I actually, for me, I love the figure division. Before wellness came out, even though I was a former bikini competitor, I love figure. I love just the overall look, the classiness of it. But structurally, it's just not for me. I have wider hips. I have a little bit of narrow shoulders when you look at like my collarbone, like from here to here. I don't have that natural width. So of course I can grow, but my bones only will go so far. So I think wellness is it for me. So
And I know we did have that conversation in regards to your transition, your plans and preparation for the 2021 Olympia, and looking at all of the Brazilian and just some of the different competitors in wellness. And you've talked about the fact that, just you finding your place and your goals and your strategy. And I think you mentioned something about the opportunity to maybe put on a little bit more muscle. That's what
Absolutely. I know for what this division has been, before it came to the NPC and IFBB, they have had it in other federations, and
Europe had it for a while.
And they're known for having a lot of density in their lower half. And I know as, the year goes on and more girls earn their pro cards, and the pro shows start up again next year, a lot of those international girls, or that look is going to be predominant, I think, as we continue to grow as a division. So, and especially coming from bikini, I do know that I have a lot more size to put on. So that would be my goal going into next year, is to put a little bit more muscle on my quads and more in my glutes for sure, because those women are beautiful. Like, I've followed them before we knew that wellness was coming, and I love the look, and they set such a beautiful standard this year. I'm talking about the females that got their pro cards, and they've been doing wellness before, and they're athletic, they're conditioned. I think that was kind of a misconception in the beginning, is they thought it might be a softer bikini look, but these girls, they're athletes, they have muscle. So I'm looking forward to putting on more size to see how, an American that kind of came from a smaller division, a bikini girl, how I compare to that. But I love their look, and I look up to them because I know they've been doing this for a long time.
That's fantastic. So would you like to share with us a little bit of your beginnings? What got you into lifting? overall?
So I actually took my very first weightlifting class my sophomore year in high school, and it was by accident.
By accident?
No, my parents switched me schools in the middle of the year, and I really wanted to take dance, as most girls, in high school do.
Yeah.
But the class was full, so they said, we have some space left in our beginning weight training class, and so okay, I'll take it, and I loved it. I loved just learning about proper lifting techniques, and my body really enjoyed it. So ever since my junior and senior year, then I was in advanced weight training after that. So I learned the foundation of weight training, which transpires into bodybuilding. And then after I had my daughter, I have an 8-year-old, so I had her in March of 2012. Of course, it was I want to get my body back, and I want to drop the pregnancy weight, and so I went back to really focusing on weight training. And during that process, I lost all my baby weight. Well, I gained 50 pounds in my pregnancy, so I lost all my baby weight though in 9 months, and people noticed. And when I was in the gym, I met somebody who she had done one show, and she became a really good friend of mine. She's like, I think you should really do this, I think you would enjoy it. And so I did, and actually she's a really good friend of mine now. I ended up coaching her a few years after that, and I turned her pro. So it kind of was like full circle, but that's where it started, was on accident my sophomore year of high school.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I know that you also you work as a coach, right? You're working with Pro Physiques.
Yes. So I've been coaching with Pro Physiques for about a little over 4 years now. So I work directly with Whitney Jones and Damian Segovia, and
great people.
Yes, they're awesome. So I absolutely love it. I love my girls. I love the athletes we get to work with, and we're worldwide now because we do online training. So it's really cool to see, how we can change people's physiques and really impact their prep, and then see them, at a show that maybe we're not able to be at, or we are, but I mean, we take amateur to national level to pro level, and it's my passion. Of course, the sport is in general, but I love coaching.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I know that you're also involved in another business, right? You have a meal prep company?
Yes, I have a meal prep company here in Arizona.
So how did you what made you do that?
The opportunity presented itself.
Okay.
We had some money to invest, and at the time is when I first started competing, or kind of like living that lifestyle as far as eating healthy and meal prepping and all that. And I kind of thought, like, what can we do with this? What kind of skills do I have that we can start a business? And it kind of just started growing. And from the moment that we decided to do it, we were up and running within 6 weeks. And so it's called Fit Choice Foods. It's here in Arizona. And we've had that for 4 years now. It's grown a lot.
So if you were to single out something that would make your food different, because there are a lot of meal prep companies out there, right, worldwide, what do you think that's the thing that is really pertains specific to you and it's exceptional about your food?
Well, we promote the macro approach. Of course, we do. I mean, we'll do whatever. If somebody doesn't know how to do macros, that's fine too. But we based off a lot of our meals off of macro dieting, and I also it's really important to me that the quality of food is good and it's not processed. So that's kind of why we're just local right now, is we haven't taken that leap into shipping, because that kind of takes the quality of your food a different route. Not that it's bad, but you do have to add some more sodium or vacuum seal or use some more processed foods just to make sure the food stays well. So we've kind of just stayed in Arizona for now. So for me, I think the important thing is just making sure that our food is always like fresh, good quality, and no processed foods.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, congratulations.
Thank
4 years
you.
in business.
Yes.
That's amazing. So how do you balance being a mother, preparing for the Tampa Pro, working with athletes? How have you been able to balance all that?
I have a super strong support system, so that is very important, and I would tell that to anybody, is it's doable. A lot of people are like, I don't have the time, or I have 3 kids, and yes, that is very time consuming, and I agree, kids and your family should be priority. but don't be afraid to ask for help, because most of the time your family's willing to help you if you're trying to pursue a goal, you know. So my parents take care of my daughter a lot. Her dad takes her a lot when I need space or time to go, you know, do cardio or whatever I need to. When it comes to my other job with coaching, it's all about just keeping things organized. You know, I devote this amount of time in the morning to my clients, then I need to train. It's keeping a schedule, you know, and on these days I'm at the meal prep company, and at these days I'm spending time with my daughter. So I really literally write out a schedule each week just to make sure that I'm organized, but it's doable. That's how I get it done, you know.
Wow. That's fantastic. It's really exceptional. And I have to say that, you know, I think that you are an inspiration we can be an inspiration for a lot of people, a lot of athletes, and not only just, you know, even fitness enthusiasts. And what motivates you to do all of this? Because I mean, you are quite high profile, right, in the athlete world, and you're being a coach and everything. And I'm sure there is something. What makes your heart tick?
Yes. Well, I would say first, my daughter. She's my purpose, and I always want to show her, you know, that if you work really hard for something, you can achieve anything you want. But I get to train around some of like the most badass women ever.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So at Pro Physiques, you know, Whitney Jones is there, Carly. I have like Marina Martinez, Alexandria Ross. We're Olympians. I'm surrounded by every day, you know, and we all live that lifestyle, and training is our self-care. Eating healthy is what we prefer. So you're surrounded by people that support you and are on the same grind as you, the same goal as you. So that keeps me motivated every day, you know, is just being around people that have the same goals and just understand you and get you. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your input, Renee. It's really valuable. Again, you know, we are bodybuilders, so it's very, very interesting that we got to talk to you, and you got to shine some light on these aspects. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Having me. Yes.
Thank you guys for being here with us. Catch us on our next episode.